Hi everybody, it's me, Vu. Welcome back to another segment of the Vu Diary Archives. Today I'm going to talk to you, like I promised, a little bit about what Christmas was like in growing up in Plimpton. We moved from Plymouth to Plimpton when I was 4 years old, and I turned 5 here in Plimpton. I celebrated my 5th birthday here. Christmas was very special here. My mom and dad tried to make Christmas as special as they could for all of us. Being the oldest, and I'm 7 years older than Steve, my brother Steve, Uncle Steve, and so when he came around, I was 7, and we would have, as he got older, Christmas got more exciting because it wasn't just me all the time. By the time I was 14, he was 7, and we were all very excited for Santa's arrival. Auntie Brenda and Auntie Pammy, they came 14 and 15 and a half years later, but I'm going to talk about the earlier days right now. So, how my mother used to make Christmas special was that she would bake special foods. And one of the foods I remember was these things, she called them spurts cookies. And she used to have this machine, I wish I still had it, it was a little metal tube and had these little round discs that went on the end, and she would make a cookie dough. It wasn't like a sugar cookie. It was sweet, but not like a sugar cookie. And she would stuff it into that tube, and it had a little handle on the top, and you would turn it. And as you turned it, it would push the cookie dough, and she would set that thing on top of the cookie sheet, and she would turn the handle, and the dough would come out. Then she would lift it straight up, and it would make a shape of a bell, a Christmas tree, and then, or different things like that. There was even a snowman, and she would decorate the cookies, and then she would bake them in the oven, and we could hardly wait for those cookies to come out to eat them. And that was something that she would do before Christmas. On Christmas Day, it was pretty much always a ham. We had turkey on Thanksgiving, we had ham on Christmas. Honey Baked Ham Company wasn't around back then, and most of the time, we would get a canned ham. And I remember they were pretty big, 5 pounds, and that would feed all of us, even when everybody was here, when there were all 6 of us here. The canned ham was very lean, didn't have any fat on it or anything, and we all loved the canned ham. My mother would docker it up by putting pineapples, and she would put these little small things, cloves or whatever they called, stick them in the top all the way around it, would give it a flavor. Little pieces of cherry she would put on top. And she would bake that, and we would have a big Christmas dinner. And most of the time, we would just stay home and play with our stuff, the toys that we got. Growing up as a little boy, I was very afraid of Santa. My mother and father would take me to Martha's store in North Plymouth. Now, Martha's is still there. It's just a bike store. But back then, Martha's was a bike store on the bottom, and they had a big toy store on the top. And we would go there, and we would just be so fascinated by the toys. And we would look all around at those toys. And then we would go to see Santa. And let me tell you, until I got a little older, I was not a happy man to see that guy. Even though as I got older, I realized, well, I don't want to be on the naughty list. So you got to be good, to Santa especially. And good all year long, naturally. So eventually I stopped crying. I tried to find a picture of myself sitting on Santa's lap from back then, crying and crying and crying. As my mother would say, crying Brian, that ain't no lying. But eventually I liked to go to see Santa. I don't know, maybe it was just the beard. I don't know, the guy in the red suit, a stranger. But I really liked him after a while because I knew he was the man that was bringing all the toys. Uh, Another thing we used to do, we used to decorate. My mother decorated the inside. That was her job. And on the outside, my father would decorate. He used to hang lights from the edge of the roof, and the bulbs back then were really, really big. They were huge. They were probably maybe 2.5, 3 inches long, and he would string them up all along the edge of the roof. Most of the time, color lights, because my mom and dad used to think that if you put white lights out, that just meant you were kind of snobby, but not really. That's just what they thought. Um, so he would decorate the outside, and I would go out and try to help him. But of course, I was probably 6 or 7, and I would tangle the cords up or step on the bulb and break them. I probably was more not help to him, and then he would send me inside to try to help my mother. So I would try to help my mother, Yaya, decorate the inside of the house, and she would decorate it to the max, and it was just so beautiful how she would do it. So we would just love Christmas. Later on, my mother used to dress up as an elf. I'm going to talk about that in another video. And another thing we would always do, and it was always kind of a tradition, was to go to Edaville Railroad to see the lights. There weren't as many houses back then. People decorated, but not like the decorations now. There were no blow-up decorations, and we had a few of the hard plasticky things. I remember we used to have some big tall candles. We had a Santa Claus and a snowman. They were about 3 feet tall. The candles were about 3.5, 4 feet tall. My father would plug them all in. And Christmas was an exciting time of year. My mom and dad really made Christmas as interesting and as exciting for me, my brother, and my sisters. So with that said, this is going to end the segment. But I'm going to tell you that on the next segment, I'm going to do something that you've never seen me do. And it's still going to be involved in Christmas. I'm not dressing up as Santa's elf. I'm going to do something that I hope you're going to enjoy. And it's going to be my gift to you guys. I'll see you later. And we will see you in a couple more days. Bye-bye now.